call to order at 6:03. And there we go. So 6:03, I'll call to order. We do need to do the reorg, nominate a chair. Hold up. And a secretary or minute taker. Secretary.
To volunteer for secretary if you don't have somebody that's interested in volunteering.
Yes, I mean, or we can nominate.
I can nominate you, go for it.
Oh, okay.
Go official, nominee.
Thanks. Were you the
And-
secretary?
I was the chair. So, I mean, if you wanna keep going with that, I'm happy to do it.
I like doing minutes.
And I don't.
Ah.
Same. I'm great at calling things to order though, and adjourning.
And
All right, so
maintaining
you
order.
guys, because I'm not officially a trustee, so I can't really, I don't think.
I'll nominate you both, second, whatever I need to do.
So, all
I've
right,
got you nominated for the secretary.
Thank you.
You can go ahead and second
Okay,
that.
I'll second it. There you go.
Thank you.
Okay. Then we can do chair. Okay. And then let's do a chair nomination. Whoever want.
I don't know if I can nominate myself.
Yeah.
I'll nominate you.
Sarah will.
I'll second.
Alright. Okay. So officially be all yours. Done that part.
Okay, oh, I was just pulling it up.
Let's change the date.
Our first order of business will be approving the minutes from our last meeting last October.
Yeah. Which you two were there for, so you can do, and you'll just abstain from the.
Yeah.
Big deal. Which actually, speaking of which, when we say all in favor of Peggy being secretary, really in favor of doing an official vote.
Okay. Not even that.
Yeah, it's need to go for guests. I'm pretty secure, Bill. All right, and. Everybody, are we all yeses
I'm gonna
for?
say, I motion to
secretary,
approve.
And then.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then motion.
I'll motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Before we even get a second, I'd like to have an opportunity to smooth out those minutes,
The,
the ones. from that
typographical
last meeting.
errors.
Yeah, and there's some content. So I'd rather we not approve them until all of those, and I actually made highlights if anybody wanted to see.
So we can do that, and approve as amended, or if it's too much, we can go back and do it
Okay,
next time.
yeah, because now that I've been given the authority to do it, I'd like to format it a little bit and clean up the,
Motion to set them aside for now.
yeah. So that'd be great.
You have to be fair, I can.
What's your first name again?
Sarah.
I know
I don't
your
know back her last name.
Yeah, I can spell those.
I can
Okay.
too, I didn't retain the Sarah part.
All right.
A-H, or with an H, yep.
Okay. So did we get unanimous on our chair and secretary?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
We're setting aside the minutes for now. We can reassess those at the end. Our next order of business will be the cemetery sexton's report.
All right, so we have a couple phone calls going on. So we have our first burial scheduled right now, June 7th. I just talked to someone too, so it's kind of that spring. I'm getting phone calls, plots to buy or to schedule. So I know I have at least one person I need to reach back out to. I've had a few calls. We gotta get together about setting stones. Since they can do that, so Rick and I usually go out and mark the base and,
Gotcha.
I got asked about putting a name on it, so he knows it's the right one.
We still have one remaining from last year that's still marked out at Lakeview.
I'll look at which one that was. Cause I don't remember who was supposed to do it. I'm sure I'll get a phone call though. And so signs, I don't know if you guys have noticed.
I did.
I have no.
I love them.
Yeah, all the signs are up, big and small. And kind of like this year project, and you straighten, and Rick, you guys straighten the post
The
too.
only one that we have left is Morse. I have to use a piece of equipment to do that.
To get. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they look good. They need to get painted, so that's on my docket. So everybody, fingers crossed, it doesn't rain the entire summer. So I can, and that's something that if, I'll order, I guess is oil-based paint to stick, but maybe it won't take that. But they'll need to be scraped and then repainted, which, I mean, you are all welcome to do as well. I can always make sure the stuff is here and we can coordinate, whether we both go out together or some of us go out together.
The posts, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the posts just to freshen them up as well. The newly pressure treated posts, as much as it will drive me a little crazy, we're gonna leave for a year so that they age a little bit and they'll hold paint. So they won't match. I will survive. But if anybody gets any questions, they will be painted in the future, just not yet. So that part's done. We've got tree work that up at Lock Haven, where the chunk of it, maple, whatever tree that is, came down. That's gonna get cleaned up.
That's a big chunk.
And there's like big branches hanging kind of that will be a problem if they decide to fall. So last fall, I talked to Chippers, Fox, and Tommy Dunkerton. Chippers and Fox sent me an email with quotes. Chippers was 2,000, Fox was 1,600. Tom had called me and I asked him to please email it so I have it in writing, but I'm pretty sure the conversation was either 1,500 or 1,600. I met with him, so Chippers and Fox kind of went up there on their own and I tried to describe what I needed from them. So I hope it's accurate. But Tommy and I actually went through, I pointed out, and so I guess, I could ask them to come out and meet with me. I mean, try again. I know, Chippers did contact me the other day, so they need an answer. So normally we run it through, I get a few quotes, I bring it to you all, and then I'll send it off to Jim and Ed just for kind of the official, sure, go forward. It is in our budget, but that is Lock Haven, and Lock Haven has its own trust for care.
Oh,
So we could potentially utilize that instead of using the budget money in that way. We look great because we're under budget.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I know Adam Clifford, who used to work for
Mhm.
Fox, is actually doing his own
Oh,
thing. I don't know if that might be worth,
I didn't know.
I don't know if it'd be a huge difference, but
Yeah, yeah.
I have his number somewhere. I can get it for you. Well,
Okay. Yeah, we can talk to him. I know when you look at, I think it's the tree that a piece fell off of it, has a bunch of cables in it. I mean, that probably is holding on. So, and Rick and I kind of discussed, what happens in the future? These trees are only getting older. I can't imagine the age of them at this point. At some point, they're gonna have to come down before luckily, that did not cause any damage to any stones. But they could cause a lot of damage if they fall the wrong way, so. Part of the thought is we could plan a new one. The other thought, that would be way easier for maintenance and not having to just make this a problem for someone else down the road in the future when the tree is big, is to just not put trees in the middle of cemeteries. So as much as possible. So I think, I'm kind of, if you guys want to have that discussion, I don't think it's an issue right now. The rest of them seem to be staying as they are, which, considering the windstorms we got this winter, I'd say that's good. It's good that they are as they are. So,
I hate to, I mean, I understand the wanting to not have them damage things that are obviously irreplaceable. But I also think it would be really sad to take them down just like preemptively, because I think that they add a lot to how that cemetery looks. But
yeah, I don't think, I wouldn't suggest taking them down until they are an imminent, gonna have a problem.
I mean, or obviously if like one of them, if whoever takes care of the branches goes, oh yeah, that one's like,
yeah,
on its way out or has something going on with it.
there is one.
The one in the middle.
Yeah, I would say that one, I don't know if it has any branches left, honestly, or if it has much left of it. Now would be a good time because we can see if it's got leaves popping on it.
Yeah.
We did talk a little bit about that one too, so. Yeah, like I said, it depends on which way it falls.
Yeah.
If it falls where there's nothing, we're great. So that is a project that will be handled, and so like I was kind of mentioning, I reached out to the Boy Scouts. I actually bumped into Joel the other day, and I know that they're willing and able to do flags again. I gave them a list of the cemeteries and just asked that they let me know where they do or do not get to. And that way I can go out and check the other ones. I would like to, one of the projects I would like to do is to take that list that I have that I'm pretty sure it's 2014. So at this point, it's 10 years old. I don't even know if it was completely accurate then. When I use Ponton to pull a report, it just doesn't feel that long. So, maybe it's accurate, and Oak Grove is not one that we maintain. So and I know that there are plenty of veterans in Oak Grove, but I don't have those records. So that could be kind of the difference too in my head, where I feel like there should be more. So I know that project's on the table as well. And I also want to work on making sure that our record system in Ponton, which is our electronic one, is complete and matches our deeds and the cards that we have. And because right now when I get a phone call, I usually say, oh, let me look in Ponton, and then I have to double check that the deed actually matches that, or the card matches that. And it'd be nice to just have the information in one place, which I think is the intention of having Ponton. So a lot of it was done. It was just a difference in the initial entry versus what happened afterwards. So people have different ways of doing things.
Can we step back before we depart much more quickly? Some of the names are not as familiar to me as you people that have lived through all your lives. Or almost all your lives. Chippers, their bid was 2,000, Fox was 1,600, and did you say Dunkerton?
Tom
Dunkerton?
Tom.
Don't know that gentleman.
Yep.
And did he or did he not submit a bid?
He called me with the number.
1,500 or 1,600?
Yeah, it was approximately 1,500 to 1,600 as well. I asked him to email it, so I have it in writing.
Okay, that, he had that.
The mid. And then Sarah mentioned, I didn't realize that Adam started his own, so that's kind of cool. I feel like people are always looking, so.
Yeah. I only know because his son did my plowing this winter.
Oh,
He pointed out that the tree in my driveway definitely needs to be taken down.
yeah. Um. I think. That is all I can think of. The one thing. So as Rick and I were talking about flags, and the one thing that comes to mind and questions I've seen on the New Hampshire Cemetery Association. So our rules and regulations state that all decor potted plants, minus those that predate this, should be aligned with the headstone. So the flags are where it gets questionable. This came up on one of them because if I put it at the headstone, well, not everybody there is a veteran. And right now it's, there's a flat stone and there'll be 3 cremation spots in this. So it's at the person's spot. I mean, I don't know if you want to weigh in on this. I feel like it's important that the person is recognized. Period, whether it's exactly their spot or at the
It's
headstone.
hard to do both.
Yeah,
I mean, that's to be
right.
either or.
And I've asked the Boy Scouts to please make sure that, which I think they normally do. Joel did say they usually put it on the left front corner of the headstones, just to.
The biggest
That way
issue
we'll
is,
start that way.
is that when we start doing that, we could basically make a cemetery so we can't mow it.
And that's, yeah, and that's kind of what that was
We
kind
couldn't
of,
get by if they were every 2 feet had a flag
right.
for their mowers.
So, I mean. I want to make sure it's respectful and that, everybody, it feels that it's respectful. So I was kind of thinking. Just when that question was asked of me, I wanted to bring it up and just see what your thoughts were, so that when I answer this.
Cause we get a lot of people that just put flags everywhere.
Oh, they do,
And
yeah,
and that puts us in a bad spot. You know, cause like you said, we wanna be respectful, but
absolutely,
when we get to the town side of it, we can talk about some of the other things, but
okay.
Meaning that like,
yeah.
sorry, like if this is the stone,
Mhm.
is the flag here?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
like just.
but the issue is if this is the vertical stone,
Mhm.
then you have 3 cremations.
Yeah.
And there's a flag.
Yeah.
Oh, I
I
see.
can't get by to mow it.
I got you, right.
It's like I'd have to, you'd almost have to trim the whole cemetery and that's.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should try to do that.
And
That'd be
we've
it.
talked before about how hard it is when they just take a wooden flag and stick it in the ground
Yeah,
versus in a metal holder.
Yeah,
You know, you
Yeah.
trim a piece of wood that's a 1/4 inch, the thing's. You know, you're never gonna really make it look good.
yeah.
which
It
is.
really
the other
should be
part
in a
of the-
holder.
Yeah, which is the other part, I think. The trickiest part, and if I have the record, so you can pick what branch and what war. To a point in Pontum, the Legion was nice enough to say that we could use their website to order the flags, and those flags are supposed to be able to go into the holders. The ones we had last year apparently did not fit.
Well, the ones that we got were 5/16 and the holes were only 1/4.
And I'm hoping that these are correct ones. They're supposed to be the proper. I think they also have the holders on the Legion site, but I have to look if they're branch specific or if they just say Legion. And of course, just because you're a veteran doesn't mean you're a member of the Legion necessarily. I believe that's correct, right? And I mean, I could be a member of the Legion because of my grandfather, but
Right,
So it's
it all depends if it was during wartime.
yeah. So
My father can't be, even though he served. But I can be.
Okay, yeah, right. So there's a lot of nuances. So I don't want them. I'm just curious when we order the holders, if we can find one that is standard, unless we have the knowledge of if they were Army, Navy, Air Force. I think all of them have holders. World War II, all like I think some of them are specific that exist and those should stay, but for the ones that don't have holders, because they're newer, I'd like to get them.
I think of a lot of the, like the flat stones, if their service identified on most of those.
Yes,
And I think that goes a long way to if we continue to put the flags at the headstone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you've
If
got,
you had
you can
three
see.
veterans,
Yeah,
certainly there should be 3 flags representing each one. Might be a different branch or,
yep,
you know, or service.
right.
And that way we can still do both,
yeah,
you know.
you would just keep them on that.
It would
corner.
just be, you know, if there was 2 in line, well, there'd be 2 at the headstone.
Yep. Okay. So, yeah,
I almost believe that every person that has military service, it's engraved in the flat stone.
I think usually, I mean, if they don't have it engraved,
From when I see it, every one that I've seen is,
yeah,
you know, if it has a flag, it's usually etched in the stone that,
yep.
but a lot of them are.
Yeah, yeah.
And some people get specific stones too, and I don't know if that.
Sure. They might have like a legion
Yeah.
or
they're
something.
different.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, you know, I'm just thinking like budget wise and monetarily, I can start pricing those and then we can look at.
I mean, maybe
what is
that's,
that project.
maybe that's the line is maybe that exception is one that's not identified on the flat stone. That would be the anomaly versus everybody that is.
Right,
Everybody that is could be at the headstone. And anybody that is, but is not identified on the flat stone. Could be put there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that would be that many that way.
yep,
I mean, in a place like Lock Haven Town, we have to hand mow most of that anyways.
right. And I don't even know.
But I think a lot of them up there are probably full burials there.
Town especially, yeah. Lock Haven weirdly has some full burials. Currently, it's only cremation, but
Mm.
as I learned, there are some full in there. So that must have started differently. So that is, yeah, that's kind of a big project and if people had time or you were interested and we wanted to schedule time where, you know, I can print the existing list and I have the report too from Pontum and we can just kind of go cemetery by cemetery, compare notes. If we find some, we'll add it. And that way I can check what I have, what I don't have. Or we could have a complete listing of names, hopefully service branch and or war, if that's, so it doesn't have all of
Some aren't even military,
the flag.
some are fire.
So that was gonna be my next question. That came up on the New Hampshire Cemetery Association email. Somebody asked, do you place flags for police and fire?
They are in,
I think certain towns do.
they are in Lakeview. I was up there today, that you can see the FD.
So I don't know that that is a field I can collect.
Which I would tend to believe it is because they have, honor guards for fire departments,
Mm.
just like they do for the Legion. Even if they didn't serve, they would have well, Norman, for instance,
Yep, yep.
Mm.
his would have been a, fire only.
Right. So that one, when I was thinking like the rules and regulations. I feel like we mentioned flags in there for veterans. Is that something we want to consider adding, or do we allow people to come to us and ask, place themselves, but then also ask us and let us know? I wasn't sure what your thoughts would be on that.
What is the holder? The flag holder look like?
I think for the fire, it's usually like a Maltese cross with the FD
Gotcha.
on the front, just like, a lot like the FW. Just a little different emblem.
Are the holders expensive? I'm just curious.
They are.
I mean, you don't have to go digging for it. I was just curious.
I saved the website.
Some need to be replaced. They're like cast.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think some are more expensive than others. It's kind of,
There was the one today that I saw that was broken. I think we can fix it.
oh, really,
Well, it has two holding parts. The top one holds the wooden flag and the bottom holds the stake. So one of them is broke off at the top of the metal stake. But I think we can just drill that out and just redo that one.
I don't have,
They've been pretty easy. Some of them aluminum.
hmm,
so they don't have, it looks like on the Legion website, they don't have the holders, but if,
I'm sure I can Google it. It's
I
fine.
feel like I looked at one point and maybe they were mid-30s, low to mid-30s a piece. Quick search. Yeah, I think it depends on what you cast it in by the looks, because there's some cast in bronze ones that are 67.
A lot of them that I've seen have been like just alloy cast.
Yeah, I would say, I don't think,
I haven't seen any bronze ones here yet.
no, there's a general military veteran grave marker, aluminum 25-inch.
Mhm.
So site called flagandbanner.com.
That's her.
Now, so for that one, I mean, those ones are saying it's $59 each. So. So I'm sure it depends on where we find them, and it's probably I mean, I could reach out and ask the Legion a little more too, and just say, do you guys have a resource for where? Do you provide these ever, and do you have a resource? Cause they were nice enough to say, yeah, you can use the website.
They could be dealing in a much larger bulk.
That's the
Yeah.
thing though, and if they're getting ones that just say Legion, for them, that's more, for them, it's more straightforward, so, and I can also ask, cause Pat was the one that shared that.
They could be getting them from like a distribution center within there.
They probably are. They have connections. that I do not have. But Pat, who's the, Lebanon town cemetery sexton, he's been really great. So he might say, oh yeah, I've got a resource that I use all the time for this, or he uses Amazon and there's a decent collection there. So I definitely want to get that. Like I said, that's one of I've had it on my mind, and I think it'd almost be easier with two people at least trying to like go down a row through. All maps are different for the cemeteries. The fall meeting, I think I did forward on the fall, did I forward the fall meeting info to you too? Maybe I didn't, if I will send it.
The cemetery association?
Yeah, I don't know if I did. So I'll send it to all of you because they had there were two groups there. There was one that talked about green burial and it's in southern New Hampshire. There was a cemetery that was made, and so they discuss a lot of that, and they did a great presentation on green burial stuff. And then another gentleman who he does mapping, he has the device to,
Oh, I saw you mention that.
yeah, to like scan and see, which I don't know if we need that level. Last
One
year's
time.
situation, but which I'm still like, I wonder if I can hire him to come.
Could
and
reach
look.
out to Ohio.
I'm still curious. It might be worth our time and investment. I still want to know. But so this is the very well loved map that I have for Lakeview.
Wow.
I do love it. It's been well loved and taped together. And it's been changed over time, which is fine too, but we have no electronic version. And the cool part of his presentation is that there is software that did not sound super expensive that could be utilized to take, because most of our maps outside of countryside are like this. So it would be a longer haul type project, but most of them, I carry this around with me everywhere. So, you know, like I said, it's been written on, it's been changed, doesn't go in order where I discovered today, which drives me a little crazy. But if something happens to this, I'm kind of in trouble. Like there's no backup.
Is the software you referenced, about scanning this document? Is that what you were connecting that to?
I'll have to look again. I think you can utilize, I feel like you said you can do even someone, like if you've almost hand drawn it and it will maneuver and then you can edit from there. It won't be to the level of countryside. I mean, countryside's very nicely done. And that's because we had Chris Rollins do it and he is a surveyor, so we have all the official, you know, very nice looking map. From him. Mind you, this is also a well-loved version of it. But, you know, the difference is countryside, which is all very nicely grid marked out, even though that looks crazy. And it has pins dropped, and so it makes our life way easier most of the time.
We can get close.
Yeah, exactly. This one, we're doing a lot of measuring. So, and I don't know that we need to worry about changing that part of it necessarily, but I just think having it in another format would be really good.
It's too bad you can't get like some combination of like a spreadsheet and Google Maps, but you know what I mean? Like where you could like get an overhead view of like, oh, here's the stones. I mean, I guess you could
Yeah.
probably with a drone or something too. I don't know.
He can. I'll send you guys that info. It was really interesting, and I was like, well, if I had unlimited money, I could really dig in on this, but
Well, if we end up doing something through Lock Haven through the trust,
true. I would have this special project money that was put aside where I could invest it in
if we did downsize
potentially having him come look.
our budget this year.
Our budget personally, oh yeah, ours looks really good. That's because we had a sign project that we have trust money that we used, so.
I mean, that seems like one of those things like not knowing the cost, but that it's more upfront and like a lot less headache later on. And it's a lot easier to pass on to somebody else where you're not like, oh, here's
And
the thing, but then
It's an
there's like
investment in
20.
time.
Yeah.
There's like,
Yeah.
here's the map, but then here's like the 12 pages that explain why this map is not what you think it is.
I mean, yeah, I feel like that happens all the time on this one. I think I looked and I feel like for some of the, like 200 or 250 is coming to mind for the
Oh.
stuff, and I thought.
That doesn't
"Not really
seem-
that bad.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that bad cost wise. Quantum is $650 a year.
Oh.
If that was a one-time cost of 200, 250, I was like, that's not really a big
Yeah.
deal, and it would transfer other maps. And like I said, this gentleman has the whole setup where he could scan, so like Whittemore, for example, once we find it. I have a rough idea of where this Whittemore is, so,
You don't know where the cemetery is?
well, it's listed on our list. John Carr knows where it is, and he's been there. And he will take us out there whenever we ask him. And I know we've talked about going on a field trip, so if you go all the way like George Hill Road to the Springfield line, basically you walk along the stone wall, that is the Springfield line, and it's out there. Quarter of a mile, like he's like
wow.
at the distance. I was really close. We turned too early, apparently. There was one stone that is probably fallen at this point, but there's no sign, there's no.
That's like the
it-
one that's next to Speck Pond.
Yes, and that's another one. I think it'd be kind of cool because we know kind of at least one.
Yeah.
I would imagine with the stone walls around that there are more than one
Yeah,
there. And he can see like kind of the
Talking about
limitations.
Butman,
Yeah, no, Burnham.
yeah, well, we don't dare to move anything in there, cause you don't know if it's part of the wall or if it's a grave marker.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And that's,
And that's
yeah,
why we haven't,
that one would be really interesting for him to
Mm.
scan, cause he could say, oh, I can tell that there were
It's such a
10
pretty
in
little-
here.
luckily for us, it's kind of mossy, so
Yeah.
we just go down with the leaf blowers, we
Well, there you
don't,
go.
we don't have to do too much trimming there.
I mean, we've
We
discussed,
do more tree removal than anything.
Mhm.
yeah, oh gosh, yeah, down there.
Is Butman, that's on the other side of Lock Haven?
It's on,
With all
Boys
the-
Camp,
Boys camp.
Okay.
was-
What's the,
it's right on, next to
Yeah,
Butman.
yeah, yeah,
and,
I know what you mean, yeah.
That's the same thing, that is, it's just like Morse, a lot of these are moss covered, so
Yeah.
we just blow out the pine cones,
What's the one that's by Potato Road and Lock Haven?
that's Morse.
That's Morse. Yeah, by
Okay.
like the, I might call it swamp. but
Yeah, yeah.
marsh.
Yeah, I know, it.
Swamp,
okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
It's like all pine trees.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
to blow thousands of pine cones out
I'll
of
say
there.
like 800 the pounds of,
That's one that's, the only sign that's left that we have to hydraulically correct that.
yes, and we've talked about it, it'd be great to just put moss everywhere, it's way easier to maintain. It might be an initial investment, but our cost in labor is gonna go down significantly. But then Rick would be bored, so,
That's one of my
Oh,
favorite
no,
things
I
at Lock Haven.
Assigned other tasks,
oh,
Mhm.
perfect.
as my job description says. Other
That
tasks
is,
as
that is,
assigned.
I'd say that is a favorite bullet point on all.
And
job
it's
descriptions.
become more so since we moved to Whitney Hall.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
We do love one. So, yeah, like I said, there's no lack of projects. And if you all wanted to go around, we could use our June meeting if we wanted to say, let's see how many cemeteries we could hit, you know, we could kind of take the George Hill, Enfield Center section. If you have not been around to all of them, if you don't know where they are, I'm happy to drive us around.
How many are there total? I feel like you said that before.
17.
There's 17, though I feel like it should be 16, because it says 17 that are maintained, but we obviously don't maintain Whittemore since we don't know where it is. So I feel like that should get moved where it's located
there's a-
but not maintained.
There's a
list.
couple that we really don't do anything with there.
Yeah, I mean, Adams, I don't think we probably did too
Like
much
just
there.
go and trim that. But the one that's up on, Lakeview condos,
Oh, Marsden, yeah.
we don't do a lot there, and the one that's down by where that new barn is,
Yeah, the small shaker one.
yeah, they do that one,
I think that's small shaker.
yeah. We don't do anything there.
Cause there's another shaker
Yeah.
one on the backside of the La Salette one. And I think that's shaker and,
It says
Even
small
though-
on the sign, so.
well, yeah, I think I talked with Marilyn a little bit about that, and just reading the descriptions. Have you guys seen the Enfield book?
Mm-mm.
Three of it, so there's a book that I know is at the library. I know we have it at the town office. Or at least Elisa has a copy. You could buy them, there might still be some available somewhere, but it's a 200-ish year, maybe. Marjorie Carr helped put it all together,
Oh,
so
okay.
like I've been the newsletter in the winter, because we're a little less active in the winter, I've been like, let me give you some info. So I've just been taking kind of highlights and abbreviating info and sharing with people about cemeteries and where they're located. So, you know, she came in, were you part when she came in to talk?
I
to us?
wasn't there when she came in, but I've read the book.
Yeah, she came in and talked to us a little bit too, because we have, like, there's this. And the rules and regulations there, we have them all listed and we have, you know, what we maintain and the located but not maintained, and then there's the not located. And there's guesstimates of where they were by descriptions that she found. So we think one might have been like up Lock Haven, Grafton kind of corner. There may have been one somewhere near 89 Whaleback area that was or wasn't discovered. I would have thought if they discovered remains, they would have had to say something about that. So
Yeah.
maybe they narrowly avoided the situation. We don't really know. She's like that. It sounded like it was kind of in that area.
Hmm.
So it's cool. I haven't asked her actually where she got that information from, but I'm sure it's just records over time.
Yeah. The other one that's marginal service is Paddleford.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Which that
Yeah.
one's tricky because I think some of the headstones are actually embedded in the tree stump that's there.
I need to really I always feel bad because that's right where the house is, right?
Mhm.
That where yeah, it's on Oak Hill?
Oak Grove.
Oak Grove Road, or whatever
Yeah.
that, yeah,
The cutoff road
it's,
from the
I've never
engine
been
garage
to.
down to Main Street.
Where Oak
Oh.
Grove
Oh,
Cemetery is.
yeah.
Yeah, there's also, like, you have the house, and then there's this little, you almost miss it with the trees that are
Like you
right
pull
there.
into the driveway and the driveway to the right is to the cemetery.
Yeah, I always feel really bad
Yeah,
when I stop.
yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't have a lot going on.
Well, it wasn't gonna be usable land for anything else, so it's got a big knoll on it.
I bet you there's some older ones in there too, just because I know.
Well, when you look at that tree stump, you can see that there's stones within the tree stump, so probably when they put them there, it was probably at the base of the tree. And
Mm.
as the tree, again, we don't like to disturb them because,
Right,
We'll let the trees disturb them instead.
yeah,
exactly. So, and then there's
Mm.
cleaning of stones too, that, the Shaker Museum used to host like a yearly stone cleaning, and there was a gentleman that did one in Grafton last year, and I happened to be out of town. I'd love to either co-host with the Shaker Museum, or we host, or however. I didn't want to step on their toes if they were doing it, so I'll ask and see if they're setting something up. I would like to know how to properly clean. I have the solution to do it. If anybody asks, like, I want to know that they're in there. They really
Right,
shouldn't
yeah.
just go in and do it, especially if it's not their family. If
Mhm.
it's their own family stone, then that's their prerogative.
Yeah.
But somebody, I feel like it was the Upper Valley Facebook page, had posted that they were kind of volunteering, but it disappeared because I went searching for it and I can't pull it up, so I don't know if someone said something, because I did ask. And there's clear rules around rubbings.
Yeah,
Doesn't seem like it's as clear around cleaning. So you wouldn't want to damage the stuff, so it's
Yeah.
like this weird kind of gray area. You want to do something nice and volunteer, but you really should talk to somebody in the town if you're gonna do that type of thing.
it's like deciding to clean somebody's garden without asking them. I just think that's kind of weird.
Right. So, we've talked about, I don't know if it was the other year when we were having the pre-Memorial Day cleanup discussion, like friends of the cemeteries, or, it's like you get a different or larger volunteer group. So it's not just 3-4 people, maybe other people want to help, and you just make sure everybody's trained. And again, you just, somebody contact and say, hey, we're gonna go work on Lakeview, and then we'll start in the back left section and work our way forward or something. So, and
Does
then
it take for, have you done it?
I have not officially done it. I know that the D2 solution, you want to be careful that it doesn't bleach out the stone. So you don't want to leave it on very long. You need to make sure that the hard part with that is that you gotta lug enough water, because you want to spray it, scrub, nothing metal can be used. So plastic, wood is all that can get used. And then you want to rinse it really well so that it doesn't bleach stuff out. So, part of me feels like we must have something around that we could test it on that wouldn't be a stone, someone's headstone. But yeah, I haven't fully used it yet. I just have the concentrate, and I did buy like a sprayer. I think it was a gallon of water, but again, like you, so, the
Are there any-
cars
Are
fit.
there any professional services that tackle this kind of issue? Because it seems like there might be a little liability involved here that
Yeah,
should be explored before touching somebody else's tombstone. I'd be
Exactly.
candid. I wouldn't be I wouldn't be wanting to assume that risk. It seems a little touchy.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I rather have the training. And for me, I would just make the solution less concentrated.
Yeah.
To be safe, you know, kind of thing, but
Or err on the side of caution of like, if you're not sure what
Yeah.
this stone is gonna do, don't touch it. I mean, there's some that are like, so like
Like lime.
friable, yeah, where you look like if you're gonna, it was just like all gonna collapse.
if you
Or
brush
take
it,
I just tell them, you break it, you
Yeah.
fix it.
Yeah.
It's like, don't be hitting the stone.
that, there's
Yeah.
that too, yeah. So, and that's another thing I'd love,
They're not easy to fix.
yeah, I was gonna
Mm.
say, he might have done, and that's pretty hard to find too. I think there are people who will fix them. They're not inexpensive.
I bet
And
not.
they're probably not that easy to find. And he might have touched on that conversation too. I'll have to go back and find that post, but, at one point in time, I tried to grab it. So basically, we don't lack in possible projects.
We do have I was gonna bring it up in the town part of it, but we have
Let's just-
the fence issue with that needed to be cleaned. A lot of the fences there
mhm,
where they have like, it's not barnacles, but it's
mhm,
getting the
Like lichen
hardened
and
moss
stuff,
on
yeah.
it.
Yep,
We talked about that last year,
yep,
Mhm.
and,
finding something to put on it. That was brought up again to the town this year.
okay. Cause those are,
I noticed in the past, they've tried just scraping it off, but that's not a solution. That's,
no,
you scrape it off, but the stain is still on the PVC. They say that there's a heavy duty moss killer, if you will,
okay,
but that's something we need to pursue. It is not all the fences, you know, it's just certain exposures.
I know, I was trying to think if some kind of a mild like bleach solution or vinegar.
We looked it up and it was like available at like Home Depot.
Not like a,
You know, I think we looked for like, we just Googled like moss cleaner, something like that. and-
which, I mean, we've got supplies line, so we can always
Yeah.
buy some of that. So yeah, we can
It's
do
more
that too.
about manpower than
Yeah,
people power.
so yeah, we got plenty of projects.
I mean, if we need things
Yeah.
like a water supply, we can supply that.
So the easy one is like Lakeview, we've got we can truck around water.
Well, we can
Yep.
truck water anywhere.
Well, yeah, that's true. You guys have trucks.
We just throw it in the back of our truck. We got like 250-gallon tank. I mean.
Mm.
we've
Yeah,
had
so
to-
we could park it and like refill containers from it
Yep,
kind of thing.
yep,
if we need.
yep. Absolutely.
So the moss cleaner you're talking about for fences as well as stones?
I don't know about the stones,
Just
but
fences?
certainly for the PVC fences.
Yep.
That's more what the moss that we're talking about
Mhm.
right now is.
Yeah, the D2, it's called D2 for the stone cleaner. And that's what I was told was like the official solution. It's just what material to put it on, how long do you leave it on? Do I, cut it thinner so it doesn't destroy anything? So.
Yeah, I guess there's like, are you trying to make it legible or are you trying to make it clean?
Yeah,
I'd go for legible, not perfect.
yeah, well, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think we'll be able to get,
But,
maybe,
You know,
but.
and I guess it depends on what the stone
I
is.
mean, I see some people that go out there, they spend hours
Mhm.
Yeah,
working on one stone.
yeah.
I mean,
Where I'd say let's clean the moss lichen off, but maybe we don't worry, especially the older ones, we
Mm.
don't get into the whole, we have to get rid of the stain, like.
Yeah.
What if it has like some discoloration,
Mm.
like that's cool.
and you
Well,
kind of
leave it.
forego the ones that you can read for the ones that
Yes, can't,
Yeah.
that you can't.
Yeah.
so.
Can I ask a question? Cause it made me think of it with the fences.
Yep.
What's the scoop with them tapping the trees at Lock
Lock
Haven?
Haven?
It's funny you mention this.
Only because this year I noticed that was through the middle of the cemetery, which
Yeah.
I thought before it had only been on the
Me too.
perimeter. Okay, I'm not the only one.
We were talking about this.
I live on Lock Haven and my dad's buried up there. That's the only
Yeah.
reason I drive by it and notice stuff.
Yeah.
I just was curious about that.
I'm like, why is that taking a right turn?
Don't know.
Okay,
it predates me, but I assume we know who is tapping them. I think it's the neighbors.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Where I could contact them and just ask. I don't mind if it's around the outside. I don't know who they talk to, obviously, I mean, they've been doing it for, I think, a number of years.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I'm only
I
been here
can, I
for
can
like
say off the record that I talked to somebody in
Mhm.
town and in this building. And they said that, that they were allowed to tap the trees. And it was brought up that they were they were to take them down before before the cemetery's open.
Yes,
Because we do actually have open and closed dates,
Gotcha, yeah.
which,
Makes sense.
I mean, if you're within that, I mean, me personally, I would say fine, as long as they're,
Yeah,
as long as you're gone and you're not, I mean, you assume responsibility either way.
yeah.
If you,
correct.
I just thought it seemed odd to go, the ones that were in the.
it stood right
interior.
out.
Yeah, on the
Especially
interior,
the
I mean,
blue.
only because I think of like, if you're tapping trees, you're doing it usually when there's snow on the ground, and that cemetery has so many, I mean, it's not really a
Yeah, that's-
grid, you know what I mean, like,
That's town, yeah, that old section. right?
yeah,
Because they're-
I mean, that seems like it, I don't know, like, there's a risk there, I guess.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't hurt. I will
Haunted
double
maple
check with
syrup? I don't know.
Elisa too. Cause I don't know, like.
Yeah,
I mean, if it was along the edge, you wouldn't be having as much risk as when
yeah,
you start
yeah. Well, I
entering.
remember it going through the middle
Right.
before, that
Well,
was kind
that-
of, I think, why I
That's
was
what
like,
sparked
oh,
my attention was,
yeah,
I can see it on the border trees,
yeah,
Yeah.
but when it starts to make another vein,
yeah. Well, you know,
I can ask
there's
Elisa
only like one tree.
that
Mm.
question too. It's probably one of the good ones.
Yeah, well, I know which one, I know which one it was.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be
You don't wanna
disappointing.
suck the life out of that one, man.
So yeah, I'll ask Elisa. I plan to be in the office tomorrow, so maybe we have something that dates back that we have on file, but if not, it wouldn't hurt to have a discussion and get something on file. That can be referred to in the future. And just, I mean, because it could have changed hands over the years too.
Yes.
That, you know, it's the family doing it.
Right.
Yeah,
And they just.
when you go actually into the cemetery, I can,
Yeah,
Yeah, I just feel like that probably,
I mean, if you had snow on it, like you said, there's a lot of stones there that you wouldn't see,
yeah,
cause they're low stones.
right, because you're not usually,
I know,
You
cause when
run
we
the
blow the
taps.
leaves out of them, I don't see some of them until we blow the
Yeah.
leaves off them.
right. And they may have run the taps earlier, but didn't tap, obviously don't
Yeah.
tap it until like
But they
January.
didn't get removed until there was like no snow.
yeah,
And
Right.
it was like,
And maybe that was intentional because they couldn't see as well. I mean, we had late.
but it was there well after the season ended.
Right, yeah. So I think it wouldn't hurt to just re-up the conversation with them and see who's upset, because I don't know who it is.
Mm.
For me, it was the first time I'd really noticed it. It really stood out.
yeah,
I don't know if it was because of they putting a new line there.
maybe,
Maybe it was the first year for the blue that it really did stand out.
yeah, maybe,
True.
Maybe the other lines were clear. You know,
Yeah.
that might be a thought too, that you don't want it to really stand out.
yeah,
Yeah. So I will check with her and see if she knows, and if not, like I said, we can find out who it is.
I think it's the
Talk to them.
little farmhouse that's like down from there, the cape, the white cape,
Yep,
it's like below the fields, I
Below.
think it's them.
yes, yeah, it might be, which I think, which is the neighbor.
Yeah.
I think she owns the.
Yeah,
Which is fine, actually, because I gotta talk to her sister anyways. So yeah, we don't really lack for those types of projects, like I said, so if we want to make times, if you each want to reach out when you have time. Frequently I work remotely on Fridays, so could try to do like some Friday afternoons or something.
oh, I could use my volunteer hours.
Yes, you can.
What happens when
Or we can do weekends.
what happens when a border tree outside of the cemetery falls into the cemetery? and causes damage.
Um,
We had that happen up to Fallensby.
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. So I think we had, cause we had a big branch fall at Lake, Blockhaven too, in that corner
Yeah,
that we talked about, and
this was a birch that fell and took out the fence. And that the wrought iron rails that were around one of the perimeters, it landed on both sides. It was so long, it hit both ends of it.
yeah.
It didn't hurt any stones, but
We had a conversation about
we
this.
cut up the tree. And left the pieces outside because we don't own the tree. We didn't wanna take the tree. But it's still there.
I think we can, I think the best way to start is talking to the owner of the property owner.
That was the gentleman that actually offered to replace the fence
Yeah,
at his cost,
yeah. so
the
I don't
whole
know
fence.
what
Wow.
Fallsby is.
Mm-mm.
It's, if you go, Methodist Hill, like you're headed to, well, not Methodist Hill,
Eastman Hill.
thank you.
Starting to come down on the other side, there's a road that branches off to the left.
Yeah.
It's about a half a mile before you hit
Okay.
the like Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There,
yeah,
a
okay.
little ways. That's one of our further out ones. The furthest one
Mm.
out is exit
And
15.
the people that live there, they live right behind it.
Yeah.
Really nice, you know,
Yeah.
never been
Very. Right.
issue and. And that was the first time, I mean, we had the pieces to replace it. So it didn't really come as a cost to fix it, but the wrought iron rails took it tough.
So, you know, I think, yeah, I can always reach out to him, cause I'm trying to remember if there's a specific RSA or anything around this too, cause I know that the conversation has come up and I can try to see if there's anything.
It's a weird thing because I thought that, you know, we could just straighten out the bars, but if we straighten them back out, we wouldn't be able to get them back in.
Yeah,
Cause I think the granite was probably placed when the bars were encased in it.
Oh, yeah.
And now when they get bent, yeah, they come out. Cause one of the other bars was bent before. And we use that kind of access it, but it's like just barely got enough length to set on it.
Mm.
Like some of the fence posts.
all right, so I'll stop talking now, but I'll let you.
There is a stone up to Lakeview that needs to be addressed. The header fell off the base. Believe it's Lambert. It's in the middle section near the back road.
Okay.
And we still have that one at Montcalm from last year. That was just laying down there, the big one.
Cause it also fell off, right?
Well, that was the one that only had like a 3-inch concrete base and it basically just gave up.
Yeah.
When the ground gets saturated and the wind blows, it just.
Yeah.
And what was the other one? Permort, the one on Rice Road.
Mm-hmm.
There's several there that have retired too.
Oh,
It's what happens when it's just moss
Mm.
and some of the stones are literally just in the ground.
yeah, it's probably.
They're not secured by any concrete
No,
and there's several there.
okay.
What's the
And-
name of the cemetery? I'm sorry,
Permort,
Permort,
PUR,
PU.
PUR,
Yep,
MORT?
yep.
Okay, great, thanks.
and then we have the one issue up to Lakeview with Stacy Ovitz. Remember that was the one that I was telling you that last year it had a metal arch put up in there and they were hanging the dog leash off it.
Yeah,
Well, now because it's off of the headstone. Now it has like 24 by 24 piece of diamond plate that's laid on the ground with like a flat stone that's vertical set on top of that. And then there's like a planting metal rod that has like another dog leash on it. And a lot of stuff has been, it's more like a memorial now than a,
Oh, boy.
So I'll have to call them and.
yeah, it's, that one's really getting out of control. Because that stone should be a flat stone in the ground.
Mhm,
It doesn't have any markings on the backside, only on the surface.
okay.
So it really,
It can-
it needs to be surface mounted.
Yep. I
Um,
can call them.
and remember we talked to the other guy, the guy who brought the stone out? I helped him take the stone out.
Mhm.
What was our decision on like the solar lights and things like that? That was another one where they start putting them on all the flat stones we
Yeah.
can't mow.
So I'm gonna go with this, and I know they probably won't like it. But we can have conversations. Per the rules and regulations, they need to be at the headstone,
Right.
so I would move them.
Okay.
If they aren't there, I'd put them there.
And that goes for like Bill at Countryside.
Oh, yes, yes, and I've been talking with her. I did tell her that, yes.
Cause we had conversation with the one on the corner
Yeah,
and they've put everything in
in
line.
line. Part of, she and I have been chatting via email a little bit on that one,
Okay.
and the concern is marking, because he has a flat, there's a stone there right now.
Right.
I'll look back, because I can't remember if she told me
I
that
mean, I know
get one.
we've overlooked it for those reasons.
Yeah, last year I know we kind of let. I
And the
did
same for
tell her
the,
that.
and same for the two that are held up by the popsicle sticks.
Yes, and those two I need to call.
Yes.
Too about that.
It's gonna get hard to find where they actually are.
Mhm. So currently, I think the rules say like 6 months.
Yeah, that's
We give people to
well
put a
past
headstone.
that.
but
This is like
these have
2
been-
years.
I don't even know if I was in charge.
What it is, it's like a lattice cross.
Oh, boy.
But the cross section is falling off.
Yeah, and now it's like, it's degraded to a point where it's,
Yeah,
one of them's non-existent.
Oh, boy.
I have to look. I think I wrote.
Well, that was, you could tell because that's where the grass was all grown up, because we were trying not to get even encroach on it, because we
Right.
didn't wanna hit it.
I think I had written down who, but I'll have to just double check who that
Yeah.
was so I can contact them. I did.
I really
I'm pretty
went-
sure She did say it was fine she didn't know if she would be up there to move the stuff, but I did tell her
Yeah.
that we needed to move the stuff and she was okay.
I mean, if we're consistent, at least they can look around and see that they're the anomaly, not
Exactly.
the other way.
Yeah.
And that's like
Yeah.
with Ovid, it's the same thing. You can tell that.
Right,
I mean, I can respect what they're thinking, but I can't respect what they're doing.
Yeah.
right. Right.
You know, it's not a memorial, it's a cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the hardest part with some of this too is rules and regulations have changed over the years, but the person who purchased the lots, and I don't know if this was done, I send a copy when I send the deed, or I give them the deed. So they get an updated copy, and they are online. But ones that were.
And a newer-
years ago,
And that's your policy with everybody that purchases one now.
Now, yeah.
Anybody
yeah,
now, that forgiveness is.
Right. And I don't know who.
I
got that,
mean,
and don't know if they even.
For me personally, when we take care of a burial, you know, there's a window of time that we let people
Yeah,
do their thing and we don't disturb that.
Yeah.
And it's, for us, it's kind of like when the season ends,
then, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and I mean, we all care,
yep,
you know, we all
Yeah.
care. We've made exceptions.
yep,
That we take care of, you know, so there is still a caretaker, if you will.
Right,
If
yeah.
somebody wants to put a wreath there, okay. Let's just make sure it's not in anybody's way over the winter,
Yeah.
but by rule, it really shouldn't be,
right,
but it's not gonna be in my way. And I don't pull things out like the November 1st date. I don't pull every single thing out. Like if somebody just put a fresh thing of flowers in there, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
turn around 2 days after Halloween and take it out.
Right.
And we did that with Stacy last year.
Yeah.
Cause there was like some pumpkins and stuff that. So we are being respectful.
Pumpkins up in Lock Haven. they've done too.
up on the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they were putting the glow sticks inside of them. But we had the glow sticks and then you have the hypodermic needles and all that stuff, so
Right.
Gosh.
that's why we put
That's
the,
why there's
the chain across there.
Ooh.
Have free
School
reign,
filters.
free reign to go up and sit
Uh,
there.
It's okay when they do it, but they don't go back and get rid of it,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Yeah, not the hyper.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll be clear.
yeah,
That should be it.
I mean, most of these things are the minority of issues.
Yeah, but again, it's, I think, new generations or different
Yeah.
generation doing some of it where they're not aware. I mean,
Now that I've done it for a couple of seasons, I know what's old.
right,
And
Yeah.
like even some of their things that, you know, a plastic pot has a certain shelf life.
yeah,
yeah,
And I think I've gotten rid of all of them, but like I said, they were like at the end of last season. And so now they're gonna be gone. There's
Yeah.
very few of them that are like that.
Yep.
If they have like the cement ones like that, well, that's up to them.
right,
It's up by the headstone, so it's within our rules.
yep, yeah,
It's the ones that are planted.
right. And
You know, that's why the lilies are growing on the edges, because that's where we take them and dump them out.
Yeah, and the Lakeview is the hardest because, I mean, we have full grown like flower gardens.
But even the, yeah,
The rules were very likely different at the time, so
Yeah.
we have a rhododendron bush that was planted for someone that definitely wouldn't be allowed now, but it's
Yeah.
so big and.
well, there's one there, they have like a little archway and they just barely put like white stone in it.
Mhm.
But I can work around that.
Yeah.
That would be zero complaint for us.
yeah,
It's when you put a plastic fence
Right,
that, you know, a squirrel's gonna take out
yeah,
right,
and a windmill that, you know, and the solar lights, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
The solar, like I said, I think everything,
If they're at the headstone, I wouldn't touch it.
and I think we,
What
if
are
they're
the-
freshly put out, they get moved to the headstone.
what are the solar lights lighting up?
Oh, they just, it's like you have, everything is a solar, I feel like, that's
Yeah.
right, like, they're a butterfly.
Like a shining light on them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, like, there's a difference between like, there's a headstone, and there's a light to like
Yeah, no, it's
aim
not.
at it. It's
no,
not
it's-
that.
it's-
Have not seen that, I don't think.
No.
Maybe a lantern next to one, but not,
Yeah, no.
none of
Yeah.
that.
And a lot of them, they'll have like the arch and something hanging off it. I don't disturb that, cause as long as I can mow around it,
Yeah,
that's all I really care.
yeah,
Yeah, so I think some of it is.
But it's the little things like, and you feel bad for them because they go out and spend money on them.
Right,
Like the
Yeah.
metal things that like mom and dad and grandpa and
Mhm.
grandma, but what they don't understand. Sometimes when we cut a corner, we don't even see that.
yeah,
yeah,
And the grass gets grown up because we can't get near it. I can't pick them up, mow,
yeah,
set them back down.
yeah,
And I've hit them a couple times unintentionally,
right,
but honestly, I've pulled the last two out there intentionally because that was a whole season that went by.
yeah. I would say move them as needed, and then if you want, just shoot me a text with a,
Yeah,
where
most of them
the-
are good, but I noticed that the one that had the railroad thing there, that had the little light, that was the only one that I saw today.
That, yeah, and I will also, I realized, I forgot, but in the June.
I'd hate somebody to hit a stone because they're trying to avoid a $2 light.
Right, yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
You know, that's
Picker.
my weight of the,
yeah. Could you do, I mean, this sounds like. I feel I'm cringing saying this, but like. A way to have like a QR code or something like. Near or like, cause I'm thinking like. At first that was like the flyers, like you see if like there's a house for selling like paper flyers, but I feel like that would be harder to. Have them not just be trashed in a month, but like some kind of thing of like, here's the, guidelines for.
well, they have
Because
them right
obviously
at the
there's people
entrance.
going, oh, okay,
But does it include, because those are, I realize those rules that are on there are, I think.
Well, maybe that's something we should update.
Yeah, I would say either re-update the sign or we could.
or a
laminate
URL
some-
or something, like something that you could just be like, here's the page and here's like the, not a mile long thing, but like,
I mean, like
Mine
the
is
one on the
like
sign,
so,
it's like
like, yeah.
here, hit the
Yeah.
key rules like the pets
yeah,
and things like that. I mean,
yeah,
I had one lady that she was so apologetic that, she had her dog there and she didn't realize it and it's like, it's like, don't even worry about that, you know?
Yeah.
It's somebody that's letting their dog run free.
Yeah, using it
Trapping
like a
all-
dog park, yeah,
exactly, I
not
mean-
you're taking your dog
Yeah,
to go
no,
visit
no.
your-
They-
Yeah,
spouse's grave,
Which-
whatever.
I think
He
countryside.
was like, oh, I'm sorry to have you here. It's like, it's not, I'm getting paid, so it's, honestly, I mean, I don't wanna sound,
Yeah,
you know, it's your time, it's not.
No,
definitely. You got,
I think we've hit all of them. Except for George Hill. We went up and looked at it,
Yeah.
but there's still like some purple flowers there. I know that they don't like us to do a lot of mowing when they like that,
right,
but before Memorial Day. So we don't have
right.
guests. And Lock Haven is certainly one of the next things on our radar
Okay,
to go up and to visit.
okay. Yeah, I think that's fine, you know, I think usually the timeline is, like you said, is before
Agree.
Memorial Day weekend, when people are out visiting. George Hill is less active, but were you here when we had the one burial up there?
The one in the front,
Yeah,
yeah, I was,
was it? like-
it was here, but I didn't do anything.
Or something, yeah, I mean, I was shocked when someone asked, so I didn't.
We
even know
have,
that was still happening.
Yeah, I was here when it was done, but I didn't have any part of it.
Okay,
I think it was a full burial, I think.
I think it was,
I think Tony was up there with the little excavator over the wall.
also I was gonna ask you how you,
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was real interesting.
Yeah, well, we've made, big strides to take care of that with our mats that we own now
Right, Yeah.
and things like that. In the past, when we go out there, like the first one in April,
Huh.
it's very wet. So
Mm.
now we've joined partners with the highway department and we both paid half
oh, cool.
for the mat so we could get our excavator and trucks, which actually helped us that time with the one in the back at Lakeview.
Yep.
That was so late in the season
yep, it was wet. and
that it kept us from
Last year was wet.
harming the grass.
That makes sense,
Indeed.
yeah.
So,
Yep, and that's what a lot of people do.
Yeah, yeah, and that's, we've talked a little bit too. If, you know, if we decide to circle back to green burial stuff is gotta be all part of the plan. You can't drive an excavator over a no gold
Yeah,
spot, so. It, you know, that will have a totally different intentional situation of purchases, burials. It won't be quite as pick your spot, we can do
Yeah.
whatever ahead of time.
Yeah.
So,
Would you just clarify for me what exactly is complete, but for George Hill? What removal of,
We haven't done anything as far as the ground maintenance.
ground maintenance?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
We've gone up and looked at it. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's not overgrown because we didn't take care of it in the fall.
I thought it had to do with mowing, but I
Yeah,
wasn't sure.
we were just, I went up there yesterday, just to see what it looked like. And, cause that one you have to pretty much mow by hand because the stones in there are so tight.
yeah,
I can do some of it with our mower, but you wanna be very careful.
Yeah.
We don't wanna be replacing stones, so a lot of trimming,
oh, yeah.
hand trimming. And, yeah, which is not everybody's favorite job. But no, those are the last two really
Okay.
to get done.
George
And
Hill
we
and
did,
Lock Haven, did you say?
um, did we wanna mention like the old signs?
oh, yeah, yes, we did. What do y'all think? What should we do with them, is the question. Do
I
we,
have all of them still here,
they're wood,
rotten.
do, some are not in the best of shape.
We have a
Right.
bonfire.
We,
We
were
have
like,
one of those
do
on
we
site.
do we like put something out there that somebody wants, they can have it? I mean, yeah, they want it, they can, I could put it in the newsletter in June and
I
just.
mean, I think if we put it, if you put it in the newsletter,
Just give them their own.
put it in the newsletter for one cycle. And
June.
by the next one, we'll take care of it from there.
Yeah.
They're not in my way, but they're in my way. I
Right.
mean, they're leaning up against the wall, so the wall's not,
So I'll just say they're at the DPW if you would like one.
yeah, they're all here.
I should tell Rob, we should name Rob. And then, yeah, so I'll just plan that for June.
Yeah.
Those, yes. Otherwise, yeah, I would say that they can probably
Sure.
go away unless you guys have other feelings. I don't see any reason of keeping them.
No,
Um,
I mean, the
What I
funny part
could
about
do
it,
is-
when you look at them, most people don't even know they got replaced.
right,
So I suppose that was a good job
Yeah.
replicating
was
the,
brought up during Candace night.
It was.
Um, what we could do is, maybe I can take a picture of each one. Again, I don't really know for purpose, but I can
this funny.
save them.
You can just take a picture of the wall, you can see them all over there.
There you go. That'll work too. And that way.
First come, first served.
We'll have them where if for some reason we ever wanted to reference back to what a previous sign looked like, that town one was real fancy.
There you go.
We'll have it. And
There you
then,
go. I did like the way like Countryside and Lock Haven in town come out
yeah,
with a little cap
With the
instead
cap,
of the
yeah.
ball.
Fall off in a couple of years.
No,
Yeah, no, those look much better. And I do like the Lock Haven town sign combo much better than
and the way it's sideways.
the sign above. He did Alan did a great job on those. So, and they should last us for quite a few years at this time.
It made our DPW sign look really bad.
Well, now you know where to go.
I have to be careful when I mow the lawn. 'Cause I don't want
Correct and
to-
ready to
Oh,
go.
no.
They always look at the weakest link. You know,
So yeah. That's,
um,
you got anything else?
I think that was about it.
okay. No, we haven't had any public comments. No one's joined us.
No, let's join it.
Next is just business and projects for the year. I mean, we've already touched on it, but
Yeah,
I don't know if we wanted to.
I guess we can decide maybe, do we want the next meeting? So we could even take a meeting if you all wanted to and be like, hey, let's go meet in Countryside and clean fence rails. I mean, you all have the ability to kind of decide. All we have to do is notice it and where we're gonna be. So anytime, two or more of you are gathered, we just have to stay. We can, if we want to take a ride on a different day, we could take that meeting and say we're going to be traveling to X whatever cemeteries, and letting people know. We could still keep minutes if we, and
Some of you could see the condition of certain things.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
Like
what
the
they,
rail.
if you haven't
Yeah.
been up to all of them, I think we can definitely hit all of them within a meeting time frame. I mean, we don't have to stay at each one for a long time, but we could,
Countryside's like a 2 minute.
yeah, and we can carpool if you all like.
Yeah.
That way we can all, because Vermont's always real fun. I mean, there's technically, I like to use the top as a turnaround, but I don't know that they would appreciate it all the time.
Well, actually, that's the town right away at the end.
Oh, perfect, good.
The only time I touch the driveway is when I have my trailer.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's where we turn around for the snow removal, so.
Is somebody living at the top at the end?
Oh, no, I know, I'm sorry, I was talking about the one on Fallensby,
Oh, yes,
the one on Rice. There,
that's still.
we go to the end and that's still our turnaround,
Okay,
cause it's
that's.
road maintenance.
Perfect, so that's what I've done too.
Yeah.
So minus Whittemore, because that would probably be a whole separate
That'd be the-
situation.
You don't know exactly where.
Which I still do want to take.
I do want to go and see it, so what we could
Maybe
do.
low tick season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're gonna go right now then.
I say, I think we've missed the early spring window, so we could
Mm.
try for maybe like, we could look at the October meeting. We have normal set, because that's just always what they've done, but we could even say, let's just try for like November, let's push it as far as we can go when the weather cools down or something. And I can always reach out to like John Carr and ask him, he has said that he's willing to take a walk up there with us. It used to be, because it was an old logging thing, so it was a little thinner, but I think over the years it has started to grow back, so. We might have to meander around some stuff. But we can't like take any chainsaws out there or whatnot, but we can. I think you can still walk through there. Okay, it's not terrible. So. But that's completely up to all of you, where you wanna go, how you wanna do it.
If I take electric chainsaws now,
I was gonna. They're out those small ones.
they laughed at me when we bought them, and now highway has a whole army of them.
I think the cemetery tour sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
And, but you do raise an important point about ticks and so forth, so.
Well, we can skip, we won't go out to Whittemore. That's a whole trek through the
Right.
woods. But the rest of them,
I mean, yeah,
Just be
the rest of
on
it.
I might not wanna go down to, Burnham,
I'll drive down there. To my
yeah,
car.
but, and not when it gets wet.
That's true. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We'll keep that as if it hasn't rained
Right.
the entire month,
Mm.
and it hasn't rained recently.
I mean, I have ticks in my yard, so I don't care, like,
Yeah,
Just be, but
just be, yeah, like,
just according.
I'm just thinking, like, if you're
right.
hiking through pucker brush.
I would say the hike out to Whittemore will be
Most of these, you're right in the middle of it, you know.
but yeah, I'm happy to do that. We can kind of, like I said, if you want, we can carpool. Obviously, you probably don't need to come to drive out to the cemetery that you do all the time. Totally up to
Yeah.
you, but, and that way, you know, like I said, I can drive you around. We'll start from the furthest one out and work our way back to town.
Residents are the only ones there longer than us.
So should we plan to meet here? To start the.
Yeah,
carpool?
yeah, if you, it's up to you guys.
I'm not gonna be able to make the next meeting. I'm out of
Do-
state.
Um,
It's the second
That's a
weekend,
good
second Thursday of every month.
it is, but we can, like, we had to move
If
this
you move
month.
it by a couple days, even if you move it back one day, I could make it.
We could move it, we could,
I'm totally flexible.
I say,
I
we
do
could
that.
ask if it works for everyone's schedule to move it out a week.
And I think that I'm gonna be in Connecticut that Thursday,
Thursday?
because I took that date.
Oh, 'cause of the
knowing that,
knowing.
yeah.
Um. So. Alright, so normally it would be the 13th,
Yeah, and that would be the 20th.
the next one would be the 20th. Are you
Yeah.
gone that entire week?
I am gone, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
So if we even moved it by a day, like the 19th?
We're looking for June.
Yes.
Gotcha.
That would, okay.
Yep.
Cause that way, if we're not meeting in here, then we're not messing up. If there's another meeting, we don't
Oh, right.
interrupt any of that. So for us,
Yep, that'll be fine.
whatever your schedules say. Does that work for everybody?
Sorry, which-
If we move to the 19th,
Which one is that?
It's,
June.
is that a Wednesday?
Yes.
Yeah. It's Juneteenth.
You wanna move it to June 19th
Yeah,
from the 13th?
yes.
Okay,
Does that work?
that works.
Well, and like I said, Rick, if you know, you can always just,
Well, the good
Text
thing
me.
about going is that we can talk about things that we
Yeah.
talked about here.
Yeah.
okay. So you know, I mean.
Yeah.
And you can
Well, much
show
like-
us like specific.
Sure,
things that
sure,
are
exactly.
easier to then.
Much like we talked about, like the trees that we've taken down at Lakeview, we can identify those trees.
Yeah.
Which that's why I'm here, you know.
Yeah.
Same
So I
time?
will let.
Even though I'm not a trustee or anything, it's.
Yeah. Yeah, we want it at 6 o'clock. We'll meet at DPW.
It's easier not hearing it secondhand.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'll just let Elisa know so that way, when we notice the meeting, it can say what we're doing.
You know, if we weren't in the middle of New Hampshire, we could even like stream it, except
I was
that
gonna
probably
say-
most of these places don't.
I was gonna say, I always put the meeting on my phone, but, I don't know that.
I do know there's service at Lock Haven because when the power goes out and there's no service at my house, I drive up to the bottom of the yard there to
Yep.
get service to tell work I can't work.
So, yeah, I mean, there's, yeah, the in
But probably a
between,
lot of
I
places,
would
not
say,
so
well,
much, yeah.
we might drop the meeting a few times on the way. That is totally fine with me. And that,
It would be
Mm.
interesting too to see like what sort of cleaning this like different cemeteries would, like which ones are
Oh, yeah,
you know, need
what
more or
shape,
less, or like,
Yeah.
are better to be left alone.
yeah.
The ones that, I don't know if they actually are, they look like slate, like Lock
Mhm.
Haven has ones, I don't know what that's actually what that is, but. Are those even ones that you can do? Or maybe they don't need it, maybe they're not. As
Those might
prone.
be, let's put some water and just take the wood and plastic brushes and
Yeah.
scrape off what we can, and we don't
Yeah.
even use solution. I mean, we could
I mean,
go-
those may not be the ones that it sticks to anyway. I guess when
don't-
I've
I
looked
feel
at
like
them,
it
they feel like they're, yeah.
stick as much.
Those are the ones that look like they're done by like. The same person did it, and the font is all over the place, and like they run out, like the name like wraps. I always think those are so funny.
Yeah, yeah, we can just go with, let's get them, let's put water on them if we had to or something, but
Yeah.
not. So like I said, I'll look back to and see what the gentleman's name was that did the session in Grafton. And I'll reach out again to the museum and see if they're trying to plan anything. It'd be great because it would be local and they've done it in the past, and it's something there is one coming up in June in Dunbarton, New Hampshire. I did get a notification of that. It just feels a little far to travel for a stone cleaning workshop if we can get it closer. So. Other than that.
Okay, any other business? It'd be good for us to think about some of the projects we've talked about, and maybe we can ruminate on it and make more of a solid decision.
Yeah.
Next time we
gosh,
get
yeah.
together. I mean, just from the sound of it and looking at your paper maps, it sounds like maybe like updating the maps and making sure that the records are matching might be something that we prioritize this year.
Yeah,
Even if it'll take some time and
and I'll
some
send that,
software, but
I'll send that stuff to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't have anything for Chris to do this year.
No, we do.
We do.
We pushed it out. That's true. He gave me a quote, but it was too late. As you drive in countryside, that right side,
No,
that bottom part of the hill was never done because initially it was too wet, and then they fixed some of the drainage, so it's
Yeah.
drier, at least.
yeah, you can see where it's still wet. I still didn't mow that.
Yeah, I would say we probably still shouldn't go down to the bottom,
And
but
our
we could do.
tree is doing fine.
Perfect.
It's bloomed out and
Oh, yeah. Did you guys see the newsletter? So the town does an Arbor Day tree every year, and so we got to,
you know, I wanted a place that we could, we've done it for 13 years consecutively, been part of the, Arbor Day tree planting. So we were trying to find some place where we could continually do something. And we picked countryside and we put a nice, we tried to put it so it's closer to the road. So it wasn't gonna impede with inside of the squares. And it was a nice, autumn blaze tree that we bought. It was like a 12-foot tree.
Oh, wow.
Autumn blaze,
Yep. It was in the newsletter. The last one.
so I put it in the newsletter. Technically, this is kind of what this does. There's a couple stones up there, but I'll have to send it around too. I'll send around that to you guys too, so you can see the maps that Chris made when he updated our bottom sections to cremation only.
cool.
But there is like a plan for the roads to go out towards the back of countryside and kind of create sections like it is now. So we figured, well, we know the roads are gonna go straight back. So, we have spots where we can align kind of what already exists as trees in each corner. We can just keep the same pattern going since we know what's gonna happen, and then it gives Arbor Day trees places to go.
That's cool.
And it takes care of the cemetery.
Nice.
It's
And
low
it meets,
cost.
and it meets our obligation of planting a tree for Arbor Day.
each year.
We were doing it down at Lakeside Park, but they're starting a whole new
Yeah.
thing down there, so,
and you said it was the 13th consecutive year.
yeah,
It's really neat.
yeah.
Thanks.
Put a little plaque on the way out.
Say again?
We have a plaque on the wall on the way
Yeah,
out.
there's one out, right out in front of the building as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. it says
And
it
there's
right.
one down in the Copeland block
Yeah,
that we
we have
update.
it. So,
Yeah, and the last one we planted, we did, or 2 years ago, we planted one at Lovejoy Brook. And when I went to check on it, a beaver had eaten it.
Oh,
I mean, I guess if it's gotta
I
go,
was gonna say.
Well, it was,
You know?
I
Perfect for the beaver.
don't want to say that it wasn't, recycled.
Right.
No, they did that.
All right.
Okay, so
I mean,
we've
it's
already
better
kind of
than,
touched
like,
on what we're going to
the
do next
ash
meeting.
borers or
So yeah,
something.
let's move to adjourn.
So, Ainsley is moving to adjourn and Sarah's gonna second it.
I second it, sure.
All right.
Thank you. All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
From the